The Codal digital notary is used in financial services to prove the accuracy and validity of data. Instant Actions, which uses Codal, was developed as a proof of concept for Swift to show how the industry can rely on corporate actions announcements. The successful outcome is now being broadened into a comprehensive registry of source-accurate company information. Codal was originally developed to address the problems of counterfeiting by creating unique identifiers and applying these to branded goods. It creates digital fingerprints of data and stores them in its 24/7 searchable registry so that information can be verified by anyone, however many hands it has passed through. Codal was built with a regulator in mind and makes data accountable by storing comprehensive audit trails of all data and events, using its own technology to create hierarchy Codal marks which are published in the Financial Times. These act as a strong witness to Codal activity and provide legal admissibility for electronic transactions. This manual demonstration showing how to Codal mark data would be automated for STP and shows how information can be Codal marked and verified by counterparties. First, I navigate to the file we want to register and protect, which here is located on a network. When I double-click on the file, it uses an algorithm, in this case SHA-256, to create a hash of data and registers this with Codal's searchable registry, at which point it is called a Codal mark. I'm now acting as if I'm the recipient of a Codal mark file using Codal's API to carry out a verification. Calling the Codal service recreates the hash here and returns this together with other metadata created at the time of registration. Here you can see the Codal mark, an incremental reference that can be used as an additional unique identifier, perhaps for internal purposes, the date and time that the file was registered, the identity of the author, and their email address, which would most likely be the enterprise. We can also check whether the item is still valid, and if I'm the author, I can reset this validity, for example if the file has been superseded or withdrawn. If necessary, the author can also point the recipient to updated information. This is particularly important for corporate actions announcements, where there may be multiple follow-on announcements and where asset services need to make sure they are relying on the most recent information. The vast majority of error and risk comes from missing these updates and causes regular losses of 8-figure sums. For liability purposes, and as an aid to dispute resolution, Codal keeps an audit trail of all registration and verification events, so that counterparties can reduce mistake and resolve disputes more easily. Here we have set the history file and file save locations to the network, but this could be duplicated to the local environment. This slide shows the proof of concept carried out for Swift. It shows how it's possible to Codal mark and verify datasets that have been mapped from announcements in ISO or XBRL formats for better automation. So here is unstructured data, an announcement from Transcontinental. Data has been extracted and mapped to ISO 15022. I can now drag the data into the Instant Actions applet, which maps and Codal marks the data. Here you can see the Codal mark, and we can add additional information if we need to. So it's now been successfully registered. And as before, I'm now going to act as the receiving party, checking and verifying the information, which I've just done, and you can see we've created the unique event identifier as well. So now if I change some of the information, you can see that it no longer verifies. Here I'm changing the date from the 27th to the 28th. It doesn't verify, but we could create business intelligence and rules that would allow users of the Instant Actions repository to repair data that doesn't verify, perhaps if it's been received from an indirect source. So we've prepared the data, and you can now see that it verifies. In this example, corporate actions information has been manually extracted from company announcements and formatted to ISO 15022 messages. And as we know, this requires companies to perpetually scrub data, causing risk and cost. One of the key outcomes of the Swift proof of concept was a requirement for a registry that sources announcements direct from the issuer, which we'll see next. This slide shows how instant actions will, over time, create a community of users, all using a central repository to verify data. Announcements are provided by issuers direct, either because they choose to use IA's service because it gives them better communications with their shareholders, or because this is provided as an augmented valuable service by their agent, such as a stock exchange or registrar. Source-accurate data is provided to the markets direct, and in collaboration with data vendors, who will use it to provide a premium service to their customers. 2 data vendors have already indicated a willingness to participate. The Codal Digital Notary is provided separately as a standalone API, which can be used by banks to verify data, even if it doesn't come direct from Instant Actions or from a participating data vendor. The point is that data can be verified wherever it comes from, provided it is Codal marked at source. This slide shows the Instant Actions test site, which gathers and Codal marks unstructured data from a variety of stock exchanges and receives and Codal marks structured data from SGX on a trial basis. IA is developing an FTP service to supply Codal marked data to custodians and asset servicers, and has commenced a comparison of SGX source-accurate data with feeds from one existing data vendor. This will be used to provide quality metrics to potential users. An issuer front end and templates for the 70 or so corporate action types is also under development. This will be used by issuers to announce direct and as an outsourced announcement service for exchanges and wire agencies to extend the reach of their issuer announcements. In addition to corporate actions information, IA will also collect reference data and market capitalization information. Much of IA's development work will replicate what SGX has already done, but for all markets.